Welcome back, everyone. So I wanted to talk about here under the magnifying glass. I wanted to talk about these Chinese knockoff. Okay, well, let me stop there. These are impersonating the AKG Samsung earphones, and I've disassembled a pair to show you the internals of these earphones. And here I've removed one of these brand identifiers, which is just it's a simple plastic part that pops in right here in the back side. I think it actually has a index mark. Well, I don't know, but either way, these are actually built very well. All right, let's understand this. We have a stress relief segment that protects the cable, and it comes into this. It's integral molded. Okay, so this is very nice. One piece integral molded stress relief, which is also forming the back side of the enclosure for the driver. Okay, you can see they have this heavy cable. It's a pretty decent size cable, but mind you, part of this particular one, it looks like they dripped some glue into the stress relief, so it's seized up, but usually you can see it slides in and out without any problems. And anyway, this is actually a very nice design. It guarantees you're not going to break you're going to be very gentle on the conductors here as you pop these in and out of your ears. So it's really nice. But again, this is a knockoff. Oops, there, that went to the floor. A knockoff on the Samsung original. And of course, even this braided part is very nice quality. I wouldn't be surprised if the actual Samsung parts are manufactured in the same factory that these are made. Another thing to notice here, you have a nice stress relief, a little one, at the connector, which is good. Now, I would have preferred maybe a longer stress relief, because I could definitely see this ultimately being the final failure point for the conductors, but we'll see. I haven't had these that long. The control is very, very clicky. Sorry, this has the microphone as well, and you can definitely tell it has the mic because on the connector you have clear and evident breaks in the connector where you need separate channels, separate conductors for the microphone to perform. Now, have I tested the microphone? No, I haven't done that yet, but we'll get to that. There's the mic. Okay, so what I wanted to show you, if I can just stop hitting the magnifier here, I wanted to show you the drivers. Because in the original Samsungs, the advertising was dual drivers, where you had a bass and a high frequency driver. So here's the driver. And it's just a single diaphragm. It has a, I'm not sure what, maybe just a piece of yellow chromated ring of steel. I'm not real sure if that, I don't think it's brass. I think it's just a yellow chromate plated steel. And then there's a magnet in the middle. They even riveted the magnet, this particular model. There's a rivet, comes up through the magnet to center it. And it also, the rivet captures the contactor plate. So there's a, you can see there's a contactor plate right there, through riveted together, and route the wires from the voice coil through a pass-through right here, and it passed through. You can see they glob on some goop to hold those wires to the contactor plate. Now here's a view with the parts with the diaphragm removed. You can see the magnet is just a donut. It's a neodymium magnet, so it's pretty powerful. And then there's a voice coil with a real fine wire. The voice coil's been abused a little bit, but that voice coil is just bonded somehow to the back of this diaphragm. Okay, so that's one knockoff. I have two different knockoffs to look at. Let's look at the tune chambers. So here, let's see, I think these are the these are the same model. This is the one where the diaphragm was partially glued inside, so you can hopefully get a focus view of that diaphragm. Stinking camera. I can't get it to cooperate. You can see the diaphragm in place. It was mistakenly glued in place, versus here we have another housing that has no diaphragm, and it also has this port, this pressure control port. So what that does is basically relieves the pressure on the diaphragm after you shove it in your ear, so that it, you may have noticed that some of them you get that airplane feeling on your ear if you don't have a pressure relief port. So this is a single molded unit. It's very nice, all molded, one piece, sealed except for the pressure relief port, and this pops onto the other half of the housing with the strain relief for the cable. Okay. So let's look at the competitor. And this is kind of strange why there would be two Chinese manufacturers. This is the housing from the competitor, and it has a pop-in ear cup holder. Okay, so if you look in here, you can see there is it's not one piece molded. It has a pop-in ear cup holder. Nice metal grill, little metal cloth grill. And you can see the shape. This is the back side for this particular unit. And this particular model is got 3 pieces. So the cable and strain relief are the 3rd piece. If I can bring that one up here. I can show you the design. So there's a back plate with pins that hook all the way through, and they connect to the intermediate piece here, and then that completes the assembly. And so this strain relief is a single rubberized material. It's not integrated in the back. If I pull up the other one, I'll show you what I mean, what the difference is. This particular model has the strain relief molded to the back of the enclosure. Now, I think it's molded. Now, I haven't got in here and tried to pop these apart. It could be just glued. But in this one, it's definitely a second piece. And that back cap, which is not marked with AKG, kind of holds it all together with these plastic protrusions, these pins. So I wanted to show you these competitor drivers, because they're significantly different. So how do we open these things? Well, it's rather straightforward. You just simply take a fingernail and just run the fingernail along the seam, and let's see, you'll find the opening, and then there you have it. You've now opened up the device. Now, the driver comes out like so, and you can see in this driver there is a protective steel there's this protective steel cover. I'm not real sure that's pretty expensive in the terms of manufacturing. Making this piece of perforated steel cover takes quite a bit of work as compared to the alternative. Let me bring up the other one. So you can see that just a ring is used to retain the diaphragm on this side, this model. But on this model, they went overboard, if you will, to protect it with a full perforated steel cover. Now, acoustically, there's nothing different. These sound exactly the same. In fact, this one with a steel cover actually is quite a bit more powerful than this one without. But it's also quite a bit more expensive. So if we look at the back, this one has a contactor plate that is let me see if I can get the cable to feed through a little more here. I'm going to be real gentle with these things. So what they've done, they don't tie it in a knot, they put this little metal clip on it to keep it from pulling out of the enclosure. But they use glue to hold on this contactor plate. This is a completely different manufacturing approach. And you can see the back plate of the driver has only these 4 vent holes, where here we've got much more expensive, lots of vent holes on the back of this driver. So I would say overall this may be much more expensive part to manufacture than this one, but surprisingly they sound much different to each other. This one has more mids, not very high, a lot of highs. This one has very good highs, but not so good on the mid frequencies, mid-range. They both produce pretty much the same low end. They're very good. Just to show you, these are both nominally, let me get the ruler out here. Sorry about that. These are both nominally get the metric scale up here. They're both nominally oops, that magnet's pretty strong. I think nominally they're called 15 millimeter drivers. Okay. So the diameter is right there, just a skosh below 15 millimeters. Call it 14 and a half. So yeah, they generally do measure to the full width, the full diameter to the outside, rather than to the limits of the ring inside. Oh man, I didn't mean to cut it. This thing's a really powerful magnet. If we look on the inside, you could call it like a 13. But anyway, that should give you a pretty good idea of what's inside these. Keep in mind that the Samsung literature indicates this thing has to be, it would have dual drivers. Okay, it would have dual drivers. One of the drivers would be a 11 millimeter, that's the large base driver, and then the high frequency mid driver would have 8 millimeter dimension. And what you're getting instead here is a single large 15 millimeter driver. So hopefully that gives you a sense of what's in these. Now, what we really need to do is demonstrate that how great these sound, because they really do sound great if they're made correctly. So thanks a lot. We'll get back together hopefully in the next video.